Hey, welcome back to Bob's two-car garage. Now, this is the back of my pickup truck, and as much as I would like to keep everything in my garage, it's turned out that I can't because I have a lot of tools. So I store everything back here, and as you can see, it's getting kind of messed up. So I think it's time for me to build a nice truck bed toolbox. Stick around, I'm going to show you how I did it. Hi, my name is Bob, and I love my two-car garage. First thing I did was I just had to empty everything out to make sure that I measure things correctly. I already have these boxes on the sides that I really like, plus I have access from the side, so I'm going to put it between those two boxes that I already made. I think it's going to work out well. So I'm kind of laying things out here on this piece of, on the top and the bottom to make sure that I can fit everything in there. And I got more stuff than I thought. I cut the top and the bottom down there out of 1/2-inch plywood, and I cut them 34.5 inches long, which was just wide enough to fit between those two existing boxes that I wanted to keep. Now, as you can probably see, I actually held this box back about 6 inches from the tailgate. And I did that because a lot of times at the end of the day, I forget to put everything back properly. And it's nice to have the place just to throw stuff because I forget sometimes, and it's been a convenient thing. So I got a little bit of space in the back. Now, the sides and the middle divider are 12.5 inches tall, which is taller than most, but that's the way I wanted it. And I cut those out of 3/4 inch plywood. Now I wanted a taller box because it's just tall enough to fit my toolbox. And it just makes it. And so that's what I wanted. Again, it's taller than most, but that's what I wanted. It's a custom deal, so that's what I'm gonna do. Overall in this project, I used 2 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood and 2 sheets of 1/2 inch plywood. Not a lot of hardware except for this little guy right here. Now I hope you can see this because my sides are way shorter than my top and my bottom. This box does not go all the way up to the cab. I left quite a bit of space in the back, about 14 inches or 12 to 14 inches, so I could fit a milk crate, which I like to use quite a bit, and a packing quilt and jumper cables, and I got a miter box saw back there, stuff that I don't mind climbing for once in a while because I don't use those particular items that much. Now as I start to do my assembly, I'm going to put the good side of the plywood toward the drawers, and that way they'll slide better. I really don't care that this side has a bunch of knots in it and it's going to show inside my truck because it's a truck. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to place all the smooth stuff on the inside, which is kind of the opposite of what you normally do, but it works in this situation. And I'm going to tack it together first with my nail gun, then I'm going to screw it all together. For most of this assembly, I'm using 2-inch construction screws. However, I'm going through 1/2 inch into 3/4, so I'm using 1 5/8 inch here. The rule is you should go 2 times deeper into the wood than the wood that you're going through. So I got 1/2 inch material here, so I want to go at least 1.5 inches into the other piece. And so 1 5/8 inch does it. Using lots of screws because I'm using this 3/4 inch plywood. I don't want to skimp on the fastener. So putting 4 screws on the backside here to hold these sides in place. I need to get this middle divider right. I need to get it right in the middle. So what I did is I cut a couple pieces of wood like this that are going to fit on either side. It's going to help me me position this thing right in the middle so that my drawers are exactly the same size. I want these drawers to be interchangeable. I'll probably never interchange them, but it's nice if I know that they can be. So I'm going to use those little sticks all the way down there to keep that divider in the right place. Going to tack it in place first with some 16 gauge nails, and then I'm going to screw it just like I have the rest with 2-inch or 1 5/8 long Phillips screws. I'm going to use some of these blocks right here to reinforce some of my corners. I'm going to 3/4 inch plywood, going to put a bunch of glue on it, staple them in each of these corners, and probably one along the back. I want it to be nice and strong. Yeah. Or what? All right, so my drawer box is all built, and I'm not going to put the top on yet because I want to be able to work in there where I'm doing my drawers. The top is just going to get screwed down because I don't want, if anything gets stuck, which sometimes it does get stuck, I want to be able to remove that top and get back in there and fix whatever else is going on. So I'm going to go on to building the drawers right now. Nice strong box, got blocks in the corner, 3/4 inch plywood on for the dividers, 1/2 inch plywood for the bottom and for the top. On the back side over here, I left this long, and I did that for a couple of reasons. I want to be able to weigh things down so that the thing just doesn't tip. I've never heard of that happening before, but it might, so I left it long. Also, I'm going to kind of protect the truck bed a little bit. Not that it needs protecting, but seems like it would be a good idea. So backside's long. Also got a reinforcing piece on the backside here. 3/4 inch piece of plywood that is glued and stapled and screwed to the rest of it. So I'm on to making the drawers. I'm going to make the sides and the bottom out of 1/2 inch plywood. And I'm going to make the dividers and the front and the back out of 3/4 inch plywood. So it'll be nice and beefy. The 3/4 inch is going to kind of hold together the 1/2 inch. So I think it's going to be nice and strong. So I'm using staples to put the bottom on. Basically what's going to hold this thing together are all the dividers and such. And there's not a whole lot of weight on the bottom, so I don't feel it's necessary to screw it down here. So I'm just going to put some glue on this edge, then staple it from the bottom. All right, so this is my solution for the front to accommodate this hardware. I'm going to put a 3/4 inch piece of plywood about 2.5 inches back, which is just enough room to allow this mechanism to operate because I don't want this to get jammed up. And then between that piece and the front, I'm going to put another piece of 3/4 on the side, just glue and staple that in place. And so there'll be a little void in there, but that's okay because I can put a scoop in there so I can grab it and pull it out. And then my finished front is going to go on front of that. Need to make some cuts in here to accommodate my hardware. A little round over on this pole would be nice, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, I'm almost done with this project right here, and I changed my mind about something. So I like this big fat drawer right here, this big deep drawer, but I think on this side, I'm just gonna make a little pull-out, a little tray almost. And so that way I can stick that in there, and I can stick my toolbox in there, and I think it's gonna work. This drawer, 3/4 inch sides. For the most part, these drawers are being held together with the dividers and the front and the back. So I wasn't really concerned about using 1/2 inch. I figured it was plenty, it would be enough so that it was nice and sturdy. right, so it's all sanded up and ready to be finished. I want to put something on it. I could just leave it bare, but that's not good. So you want to seal it with something. You can paint it, you can polyurethane it, you can put Flex Seal on it. I'm going to go with this oil-based polyurethane that I just happen to have around, which is kind of unusual because here in California they don't sell it. I don't even think they sell this stuff anymore, but I got a bunch of it. I'm going to use that. It's a good idea to thin an oil-based material like this out on the first coat. Helps it burn in a little better. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to thin it down about a third, give it a coat, come back tomorrow, give it another coat. I was not super careful on the application of the finish. As you can see, I just used a weenie roller and made sure that I was thorough. The main thing is to get the box protected. I'm trying out a couple different ways to make these drawers slide in and out real well. So I know that a lot of people will build some kind of roller system, and that's great, but I'm just going to use some slides. I got this UHMD plastic, which should do a good job. I'm going to use this on this side. I'm going to put a couple strips along the bottom, and then along the sides I'm going to put just a strip of 1/4-inch plywood, and I'm going to beeswax that up because that makes it really slippery, and I think it's going to work pretty well. On the other side over here, I'm going to just use these wood strips. So wood strips along the bottom and wood strips along the side. If you want to spend the money to do the roller runners, that's great. I'm sure they'll work fine. I didn't want to spend that kind of money. I just wanted to do it as economically as possible. But if you do just do wood, I suggest that you cut strips rather than just use the bottom, because you got less surface area and that's going to give you less friction, so it should work better. Anyhow, I'm going to glue and staple the wood in place, and I'm going to screw the plastic in place. The drawer on this side that's shallower is going to tip when it gets to the end, so I'm going to put a piece of hardwood right here on the top as a runner on the top, and I'm going to give it about not a whole lot of clearance, maybe 1/8 or 3/16 of an inch. So I'm just going to screw that into the side along the top and just make it so make sure it doesn't tip. When I was a kid, there used to be a donut man that would come around the neighborhood, and he had drawers just like this. So it kind of gives me a nice nostalgic feeling. Now my top is one continuous piece, and I have it that, and I'm going to screw it in place. And the reason I'm doing it that way is because, number one, every once in a while stuff does get caught, like a tool will get jammed up into the top, and you just can't open the drawer. So I want to be able to remove this just in case that happens. Also, by having it be one continuous piece, there's less places where it can get jammed up. So I'm going to screw the top down with some construction screws, and then I'm ready to put it in my truck, which, you know, it's getting kind of exciting. So just for an experiment here, this side has that plastic in it for runners, and this side has just wood strips, 1/4-inch wood, plywood with beeswax. I'm going to put the same drawer in each side and see how it slides. All right, check this out. This is the wood and beeswax side. If I let go of this drawer, it slides closed all by itself. This side that has the UHMD plastic, which is way more expensive, won't slide by itself. Give it a little push, give it a little push, give it a little push. So I would say don't bother spending your money on the plastic. Just use some wood strips and some beeswax. It works great. Drawer front on this side, I'm just going to screw on from the back. I'm going to tack it on first from the front, just so I got it lined up right, and then and put 6 screws in the back. Going to have a lot of pressure on it, so I want it to be nice and sturdy. This is going to have a lot of pulling on it. I'm going to put 2.5-inch screws in there, but I'm not sure if that's going to work. So if I have to, I'm actually going to put a bolt straight through there, going from this front here to the other piece that's behind here that you saw earlier, and actually bolt that front on there. So we'll see how the screws work. If they work fine, then that's the way it'll be. But we're gonna have a lot of pulling right here, so might actually bolt this front on. To attach this mechanism right here, I'm using some machine screws and some nuts and washers. I thought about using some one-way screws, but I really don't like those things, and I'm not really trying to make this completely theft-proof. I'm just trying to make it really difficult to break into. This little piece of metal right here was a last-minute change. I got some square tubing and some flat bar and practiced out my welding skills, which really aren't that great, but I wanted this part right here to be nice and strong, a little more theft proof. So it was fun. Well, I want to leave you today with this proverb that says, wise men and women are always learning and always listening for fresh insights. That being said, I want to thank all my fellow YouTubers for all the good ideas that I borrowed from them, because nothing here is really super original, except for maybe the beeswax and the taller drawer, but besides that, I learned it from somebody else. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.